welcome to another video. In this video we're going to tackle one of the worst things about an old Europa, which are the dreaded door hinges. The original hinges are a steel pivot pin with some steel adjusters, and they all rust into one big pile of garbage, which you can't adjust, can't remove, so you're stuck with doors which... Hi everyone, welcome to another video. In this video we're going to tackle one of the dreaded problems on a Lotus Europa, which are the door hinges. So the hinge originally is a steel pin with some steel adjusters on there, but they're all rusted and the doors all sag and you never can get the door adjusted or get the door off. So the only way to get the door off is to cut the hinge pins. This side I already did. But this side was already modified with a different kind of hinge, which wasn't much better. But the other side unfortunately still has the original hinge pin, so I'm going to teach you how to remove an original Lotus Europa door hinge without too much aggravation. So the only way to get these hinges out, which are here between these two holes, is to cut the hinge, take the door off, and then deal with the parts that stay inside of the car, inside of the door. On Series 2 and 20 cam Europas you can cut them from the outside in this gap. However, on a Series 1 Europa you can't do that. Firstly because there's a lip on the door which doesn't really line up with the bush inside the door where you want to cut it. And also the inside of the body has a little bulge where the bobbin is for the pin, so you're just going to cut into the body if you do that, so you have to cut it from the inside. So this body has been modified a little bit. There's a hole in the top which I don't believe is original. There's a hole in the bottom and this one is original. This one would serve to remove the hinge pin. The large pin has a threaded hole in the bottom which you could thread in a slide hammer and then hammer the pin out if you put the body on a lift. The inside is modified a little bit as well. So one of the previous owners obviously already had a go at trying to remove the door. As you can see, they got the inside of the door skin to gain access to the adjusters, which, as I told you, are mostly frozen, and they're hard to adjust even if they work correctly, because you have to go to the inside of the door and adjust them with a special spanner. But even if the hinges are in perfect working condition, it's still a pain. So we're going to have to fix these holes, but for now they can only help to remove the pin. So now, how are we going to remove it? We have to cut the hinge pins in these gaps, right between the door and the body, on the top and the bottom, and we're going to use a sawzall. This is just a cheap electric one with a really long metal blade. We're going to lubricate a little bit with WD-40, but we can get in between this like this, or from the top side and like this, but we're going to choose a place on the pin which isn't too close to the body, and once we've really slowly cut a groove in there, you're probably just going to stay in the groove, and it takes a little while, but slowly and steadily you'll completely cut the hinge pin, and then we can get the door off. So I'm not sure how much you will be able to see of it, but I'll show you the start, because it may take a while, and then once we get the door off. So I've already propped the door using a jack and a piece of wood. Okay, so I'd like to start with the bottom one and then cut that about 9/10 of the way. Just leave a little bit to keep the door in place, and then cut the top one. So long metal blade on a sawzall, a little bit of WD-40 just to lubricate it a little bit. So now I've just cut a small groove. So if you have the pin, just a small groove in there so the blade stays in one location, and then just steadily keep going until it's completely cut. On the bottom I've cut the pin about 9/10 of the way through. Now we're going to completely cut the top one, and then we're going to finish off the lower one. Actually, I think we're through. Not sure what I was still cutting then, but we'll find out. So now we have to do the last part on the bottom. Okay, we're cutting the bottom part. Hopefully the door won't fall off. Okay. So now we have the door separated from the body. Okay, so this is the top of the pin. As you can see, it has a small bullet point, and in the top there's a small bush where it slides into. And on the bottom we should be able to push the pin out from underneath. Oh, so this is the bottom part of the pin, and the bushes still are intact on the top and the bottom, which is perfect. So now we need to try and get the rest of the pin that's still inside of the door out of the door, which won't be such an easy task. So this is the inside of the door. As you can see, they got parts of the door panel, so we can take a look at the hinge pin. On this one they didn't succeed to remove it, but this will help us to get the pin out. So there are some small bushes and some on the end, but the main thing is that we need to cut the hinge pin, which runs still from here to here along this side. We have to cut them on the inside so we get the middle part out. Then we can knock the pin towards the inside. I'll probably just use the Sawzall again with a smaller blade to cut it. It's fortunate that these holes are there, otherwise you should have to do this from within the door, which is possible, but it takes a long time, so we're not going to complain that these holes are there for the moment. got the pin on this side. Now we need to do it on this side. I might nick the fiberglass a little bit on this side, but it doesn't matter, it needs to be repaired anyway, so I'm not too bothered about it. Okay, the pin has been cut through, so I nicked the fiberglass a little bit as expected. Doesn't really matter. This is what remains of the hinge pin. So now we'll try and get these two sections out of the bobbins. So this is the top of the door, so the hinge pin should normally always be able to slide from the top down. So we're going to try and hit this to punch the pin on towards the inside. Yes, the pin is through. But the adjusters are still in. So the pin's already out. So I found a way to get them off. This is the one from the other side. The problem is that this side is completely rusted to the bobbins inside the door, and on the other door the bobbins that are fiberglassed into the door are fine, but on this side this is all from the bobbins, so we're going to get the adjuster out of this side. The problem is that the adjuster has a thread on this end, then goes through the bobbin, and then it has a flange, so you see that this is quite big, and this is on the section of the flange, so I'm just going to use a grinder, and we're just going to grind it until we're on this big washer, which is this one. Once it's flat enough, we can get the washer off because it's not retained anymore, and then we can use a hammer to punch it through to the inside of the door. So ground it off a little bit. Not sure if it will work on this side as well, because this side's really stuck. Okay, so now we have some movement. I think the heat of the grinding works as well. So now it's soft, but as you can see, the bobbin that's bonded into the door is completely rusted out. But the doors are off, the hinges are out. This was the worst of it. It's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Both of the doors are off. Now we can continue with all the fiberglass work on the interior, the rest of the body, and the doors as well. So don't forget to subscribe, and I hope I see you next time. Goodbye.